Yeah.
Welcome back.
You shush! Welcome back, adventurers. My name is Eli, the Game Master, and this is A Good Day to Die. Last we left off. Talking's hard. Last we left off, Damon had been lured back into the cavern to retry his test. There he found the excommunicated, a paladin skeletal champion who he did battle with. The skeletal champion claimed that he had been excommunicated from the Temple of Aradi because he did what he thought was best instead of what the Justicars had taught him. Possibly given Damon a new perspective on life, but Damon was steadfast in what he believed in and did battle with the skeletal Justicar. The group had gathered back together, made their way out of the tunnel, and back to the Pirates' Cove. There they discovered that Adriel was actually dating Damon's little sister. So he's not fam, he's brother. And I'm sorry to all of our English listeners out there. The whole island of them. Then the group had made it back to the Nightingale, the floating theater barge, where they heard Violet was very, very upset with Melchior about something. Walking in, she had screamed out that in 3 days' time the play was to begin, and for some reason all of the actors had defected and left the play. As she stormed off to her dressing room and the group had convened together with Melchior, he looked up at them and said, "Oh, welcome back." And he says, "I have a business proposition for you, and we will pick it up there." He says, "Darlings," he stands up, "it's so good to see you," as he walks over and he starts kind of straightening up your collar and fixing and dusting you off, you know. He says, "You look fantastic, I really must say, though not much for the smell." And he says,
"You're laying it on really thick."
He says, "Oh, darling, that's what I do." He says, "By the way,"
I'll tell you later.
He says, "You see, you remember that we had a quid pro quo, right? He says that I was to introduce you to Hawthorne, you were to have a meeting with him here on the very Nightingale herself." And he says, "But in exchange for the flute," he says, "and never mind that," he says, "I would actually like to ask you a different favor."
Well, hang on.
So
you don't need the flute now?
I need that as well, but something...
So you're renegotiating?
Yes. You could say that. He says, "Negotiation. That's such a clever word, negotiation." He wraps his arm around you. "Don't you think so?" He holds up the bottle behind you. He takes a swig. And he says, "Yes, we can negotiate." And he says, "You see, the problem is, my father's going to be coming to the Nightingale to see a play. He's expecting it. Him and all of his fancy higher-up bigwigs. You know the type." He points at you, Damon. He says, "But... the thing is, I am a little low on funds. You see, the docking fees and things like that's very expensive for a lodge of such size and prestige. And I wasn't able to afford the actors I had previously lined up for such a play, and they have sought out new, monetary positions in life, and I am in need of new actors. Someone strong." He grabs Ragnar, and he says, "Someone handsome." He steps over to Damon. He says, "Someone, well-spoken." He gesticulates to Perry, and he says, "And someone that can play a demon." But the thing is...
Hey, I know a guy.
I don't know about those other three, but this guy... And he says, "So the problem is, darling, if we don't have the play, then Perry doesn't get to see my father and have his little conference, and it just doesn't work out for anybody. So it would be beneficial for the both of us if this is something that we could arrange."
Yes. What do we get out of this particular arrangement other than seeing the High Lord himself?
He says, "Darling, what do you get out of it? Why, you get prestige." He says, He says, all of Dreamport's going to be talking about the next biggest play, the Necromancer.
What about a necromancer?
The Necromancer! It's the name of the play, darling.
It's not a vampire.
He says, ooh, that's a good one, I could do that. Necromancer. That could be like a part 2, yes. But anyway.
Stop giving him ideas.
Well, first of all, that requires us to be an acting troupe. Second of all, I thought you said the High Lord himself and his constituents will be the only ones there.
He says, them and a few other bigwigs. Maybe I've done a bit of advertising since you've been gone, expecting it to be something much bigger than itself, and it was a little bit more expensive than I was expecting.
And you're making money from this?
Oh, of course, darling. You never do anything for free, especially if you're good at it.
What are the profits?
We never do anything for free.
He says,
We're
and
good at it.
you will be monetarily compensated for your efforts and time. If you are to agree to this, of course you will.
Half?
Oh, that certainly would be I'll take half, yeah.
Half?
Half of what we make?
Hmm?
He says, deal. Absolutely. You and your friends will get half of what we make. That sounds more than fair, he says, extending out a hand.
Are you going to make anything?
Well, of course I'll make half.
What's the expected profit?
That depends, darling.
Half of the revenue,
Yes,
not profits.
half of the revenue, he says. He said, well, there's a lot of overhead, and he says, the ship needs upkeep, we need the costumes, we need different items, he says.
You need an acting troupe.
Don't do what you're good at for free.
Can't argue with that.
He said the effort put into it as well. Oh yeah, we were negotiating.
You drive a hard bargain, darling. And he says, but all of this, of course, teeters on the fact whether I have my flute or not.
Oh, I reach into the void where Menzirik is and I pull out the flute.
By the way, Max will not be joining us tonight. He had a small emergency. We expect everything to be taken care of and everything to be fine. But he is here in spirit, but not here in character. So anything he would add and benefit to what's happening tonight is no longer a thing.
Reaching into the void, pulling out the flute.
He takes it.
I like. Do we have a deal?
Well, of course, darling.
Because we could sell that.
It's very expensive.
Wait a
We also know what it does. Why rats?
Rats.
He cares nothing about
Oh, it's magical. I could sell
And we get half.
that. Of the revenue, of course, darling.
Harry,
Yes.
What? I
Are
feel
we
like
in-
I'm being strong-armed here. What's happening?
are we in agreement to this?
that. Sure.
I take the flute and I put out a hand.
His grip is surprisingly strong, but also very flamboyant in the way that he
Mine
presents
is
it.
surprisingly not.
And
I do have
moisturized.
to-
It's highly moisturized.
A single rat appears.
All of a sudden, Robbie just jumps out of the satchel and starts chasing it.
All right. So what do we need to do?
He says, well, first thing, darling, I have to break the news to Violet that we are indeed going to continue with the play. And he says, I do have a script. He says, I will be handing you each a script. There are more than 5 parts. And he goes, so some of you will have to double down on some of the parts in the play. And he says, unfortunately. He says, but with actors of your prestige and talents, he says, I feel this will be a very small task for you. He says, but we will practice during the day and maybe some at night, but if you need time to explore the city, to buy and sell some of your wares that I am sure you have acquired on your most previous adventure in acquiring the flute, he says, you may do so.
Well, what time? When should we be back?
He says, well, right now, we should practice as soon as possible. He says with a smile.
And I'm in complete agreement. I have not acted in anything since I was about.
You were an actor?
It was a part of the school, my father. It was a part of school.
It was like I was mid-thought, and then he said that, and I was like, I'm sorry.
So, mechanically what's going to happen is theatrically what's going to happen is they are going to be practicing during the day. They're going to be rehearsing, going over some things. And so when they do their perform checks during the play, because they have rehearsed it, you all will get a +2 to any roles that require either a perform check or a charisma check. Something else that is going to happen is the parts that you have been given, that you are taking on, and I have beforehand given each one of the players the script of the play. So there is not an actual script. The players are not going to be reading from something. They are going to be role-playing and ad-libbing their part as if they have done so. So this is a role-playing opportunity. I don't know how this is going to work. This is an idea out of my head, but we're going to give it a try. You okay, my guy? Mm-hmm. Delaney lives in the corner now.
The dog house.
The dog house. So, in the parts that you have chosen, there are going to be certain roles I'm going to ask you to do. ROLLS, roles. That I'm going to ask you to do. When you do these roles, when you act these parts out in the play, of course, you're ad-libbing. You're just playing how your character would play these characters. So it's not going to be how Shane is playing a part. It's going to be Shane playing Ragnar playing a part. That's how it's going to be.
16 walls.
Yeah, 16 walls. Well, also, you all have feats and abilities that you have made to mold your characters into the campaign that I have created. You can use some of those talents and abilities to make things happen within the play. So, for an example, you cast Light on Sword, boom, you have an enchanted sword. You have Illusion, boom, you now cast Fireball that doesn't hurt anybody. That is how this is going to do. Does anybody have any questions before we get into that?
Nope.
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 Burn Turstic.
Burn toast.
Murray!
Let me out.
I like to learn how to do a Hamlet.
So when you break the news to Violet, she is elated. She is incredibly excited that this is something that is going to happen. Now, before we do get started with all this, I and the audience would like to know what is everyone's part that they are playing. And to remind everyone, I have gotten rid of the Paladin character because Max is not joining us, and I feel like the Paladin character did the least of anything in the play. So his character nixed, but the rest of the parts are still listed out.
So we have narrator,
Yes. So.
which is potato.
Mm-hmm.
Wizard, necromancer.
Is that the same act as the devil?
I would really love to watch.
Because
Those are two different characters, so they can't. Yeah, they can't stack, and so the same person can't be both, unless they have something that allows them to be both. Like if Max was here, he could do the thing, and he just like. But he could change his appearance. So you're going to be Eric the Necromancer.
I'll be Eric.
All right.
2 R's.
Violet is going to be Lady Evelyn. Then there is Vorum, Eric's best friend and captain of the guard.
Me.
All right, Ragnar.
I suppose I'm playing the Necromancer then?
He's playing the
Oh,
Necromancer.
Necromancer.
Ding. Then there is Calaman. He is.
Excuse me. Why are we? That's Amos.
he is Lord.
Beyonce.
By the way, the city that you are in is Samaria. Okay, where the play is taking place is the city of Samaria. And Kalaman is a lord from Alamar, a kingdom that neighbors Samaria.
Well, I suppose that's the only one left. I'll do it.
Oh, no, it's not.
Well, it's the devil, but
Oh, that one's took.
I will be the devil and Neville.
The devil and Nebel?
The devil and Neville. Because I'm looking to see what acts. Like the devil's in Act 1, Neville's in Acts 2 and 3.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I can do both of those.
Yes. It's almost as if somebody
Thought about that one?
I'll throw this out here. This says Act 1, Scenes 1, 2, 3, then Act 3, Scenes 1, 2, 3. There's no 2.
Act 1.
I see Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3.
Yeah. I have all 3 acts on there.
Not on here.
What is that?
I don't know.
That's
This is
whack
sitting
right now.
here.
Who
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
that
What?
explains everything. He did it.
You printed out a script for everyone?
no, I printed it out for me.
And he still couldn't even do it right. It's
Did you
Click,
only
drag,
print out the
Control
parts
C.
that you wanted to do?
No,
apparently.
Anyway.
I don't know where Act 2.
I can tell you where it's not.
And so how this is going to do is
Narrator, Devil Neville.
Devil Neville?
SMR is doing Lady Evelyn.
Yes.
He's playing Eric. Now I'm assuming, isn't that the leading role, so he's just Eric?
Correct.
Okay. Just so I know we have all the parts. Then we have Vorum and Kalaman. And they're playing Vorum and or Kalaman.
Correct. And you are Neville and the Devil,
Yes. Okay.
which is a new.
No one's doing it out there. New band.
Are you restless?
Restless like
He's got that RSL.
And so, what is going to happen in the day of the play? Melchior is going to stand up. He's going to.
You're good.
You are stressing me out. Melchior is going to introduce everyone and their parts. He is going to kind of set the scene, and then he will take a step back into the prompt corner where he will be there to gesticulate, to urge you on, to give you prompts and things like that.
What time of day is the play happening?
It's going to be at night. It's going to be when the sun has set on the third day.
I have the spells Spark and Create Wonder, so I can walk out, light torches, and then start with the play.
Nice.
So I can kind of do like light show kind of thing.
Save it for the theater. Save it for the play.
Go ahead.
Is it me? Or is it the music? You're gonna have to do a little editing. Is it still weird noise? Is it the Predator?
So what we were doing, kind of accurate.
Holy crap.
I don't hear it when we're talking.
So it's not coming through this time. Sorry, our wonderful view.
So we're
That's
good?
No.
This is live. This happens when it's live.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Anyway, can we continue while you do that?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be frantically moving around. So.
He's gonna be the
Okay.
RSL one.
You're stressing you out.
We can say we'll be right back, technical difficulties, and do that if you need to.
I can only get on the screen.
Okay. So, in that 3 days' time, you all have time to buy, to sell, or to explore, if you would like to.
Now it's been the first few days near an alchemy shop, basically initially showing that I can do stuff, and then sort of buying and selling stuff, and then selling potions to make money, to make more stuff, and kind of to do a bunch of that stuff. I make sun rods, potions. I've given people potions in the party. I did rolls for them. And then my last day before the rehearsal, I would go to the library and look up, just kind of look for symbology of like the chains, knowing that they're brands instead of looking towards religious symbols.
Go ahead and roll me a wisdom check, an intelligence check.
It's actually the same. That's a 17.
17 intelligence. All right. Roll me a knowledge religion.
10.
So with a 17, you are able to locate books that talk about religious symbols and things like that. And you've narrowed it down that this is not just a religious symbol. This doesn't belong to any deity, right? There are deities that have chains in their symbols, but not like you do.
Could I ask Byrne for assistance with the notion that I'm going to the place where his master resides at the top of the tower?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking him,
How would you do that?
basically say, listen, I will take you back if you help me find out what. I just need a name that I can go off.
So you want me to help you?
Help me, and I will deliver you back to your master and let you decide how that should be.
I see. All right. So first thing we need to do,
He says.
says, we know they're brands. We know that they belong to a different deity, right?
Yes.
You have been marked either by a deity of some kind of duality view on life, or by two different deities. You got
I'm
me?
thinking it's the latter.
And if that's if that's how that is, then we need to focus on what deities would benefit from this, why they would do this. Okay.
Okay.
It says, firstly, what do you remember about who you are, or were rather?
So I would describe to him in sort of a seclusive corner away from everyone in the library. I would tell Byrne about the dream I had, and it's like in full detail. I remember scene for scene, and I remember that list of things that you said I knew about.
Mm-hmm.
I assume I still remember, and like that is knowledge I now have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd give him that stuff.
So if I had to guess, it would be a deity that you had previously worked for.
And I sort of point to the black tattoo, or the black brand. It's like, I think
So the real question is, why would somebody else mark you?
retribution, or it is either punishment or it is a mercy.
Well, you went against the deity that you previously worked for, correct? That's why Handsome Joe doesn't like you very much.
And it's a mutual feeling.
So, why did you go against them? Why did you do what you did?
I personally, as a player, ran into a problem with. I feel like I know why I would have done this. So I don't know, because out of character, sort of my running theory is I was finally asked to do something that I was not okay with, because I am a lawful character. I have. Okay.
Pitch that to him.
Okay. I'm a man of. Well, hi there, buddy. I'm a man of rules. I have set limits. Things I will not do. My guess is for me to go against this all-powerful being at the time is he asked me to do something I would not do.
I see.
A line I wouldn't cross.
So the first thing I would suggest is figure out who that is. Figure out who his enemies are. In doing so, you may be able to find out who had marked you with that chain.
His eyes veer to the gold chain.
You see, you're kind of at a standstill, spinning your tires until you can figure out who the deity you originally worked for was.
But the problem is I don't know if they are deities.
He says, with that kind of mark, they would be close if they weren't.
Yeah.
Also, I can think of a really easy way to figure this out.
As long as it doesn't involve death.
It might. Because listen, so you don't know anything about it, right? You don't know who you are, where you came from, how long you've been out, or any of that, right? Or any of that good stuff, who the deity was. But you do know somebody that does know.
I don't think he's in a talking mood right now.
No, that's why I said it might.
But he can't hurt me.
That's interesting.
You try not to mitigate what I know of his encounter with Amos.
hard to get him over here.
You gotta find this guy. You gotta ask him some questions.
I gotta get him to a point where he's willing to ask questions, answer questions.
And considering what he can and can't do, if you talk to him, he may be willing to make a deal.
Everyone is willing to make a deal. Where I come from.
Yeah, right. That's what we're doing right now. See?
You might say it's in our blood.
Is that a jab? Is that a jab? Because I don't have blood.
You had blood at one point.
I was literally created like this. Whoever owned this skull before me, it was not me.
Womp womp.
It's kind of a scary concept. It's like, I now control this skull, but it is not mine.
You think your Esther would know anything?
Maybe. Especially if she had her familiar back.